Men like Artemis Langford are championed to live in sorority houses with young women, visible erection and all. Men like Fallon Fox are now allowed to beat the crap out of women, and instead of treating it like what it is, assault, it's applauded and touted as progressive and inclusive. Fallon Fox, Leah Thomas, Artemis Langford, and many, many others praised for their bravery and their perseverance. So yes, feminism is dead. It went from suffrage to suffering, literally, at the giant hands, feet, and balls of males who are not good enough to compete against other males, but have found a home beating up on women. How brave, how bold. Which brings me to USA Boxing and its 2024 rule book, which allows trans women, aka men, to compete against actual women so long as they're over age 18 and have fully completed gender reassignment surgery. Trans competitors will also be required to submit to hormone testing and must have testosterone levels under a certain level to compete against women. You know, that's all fine and dandy, but regardless of hormone levels, biological men are still bigger, faster, and stronger than women. Women deserve their own spaces, their own sports, but if I say that, the left tells me I'm a transphobe. Weird, because in 1848, 1960, 1995, and even in 2017, that statement would make me a frickin' feminist. But joining me now is someone who knows a thing or two about fighting, whether it be in the octagon or against actual men or against liberals and their BS. Colby Covington. Colby, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me on. It's a big honor, Tommy.
So I want to start out with this USA Boxing thing. What's your initial reaction to this 2024 rule book that's going to allow men to essentially beat the crap out of women and call that sport?
Yeah, my first reaction is I think it's a PR stunt. I think that they're just doing this because no one cares about USA Boxing anymore. Nobody's talking about USA Boxing. So they have to do something to get some publicity, because anybody in the right mind thinking that this is a good idea needs to seek help immediately. So this is disgusting. Biological men should have no place in women's sports. I mean, I can't imagine being a woman my whole life and having a fair playing field, competing against the other women. And then all of a sudden they just say, hey, we're going to let biological men come compete in our sports. So it's unethical, it's dangerous, and I don't want to see anybody get killed. So we need to reverse this, and we need to hold the line and not let this happen.
Do you think it's going to take something like what you just mentioned, a severe injury, even a death, lifelong repercussions and injuries for women for something like this to actually change? Because it's one thing if you're swimming against someone in a pool, although that's very upsetting. It's another thing when you're actually physically boxing or fighting somebody. I mean, as a man, I'm sure you well know that you could beat the crap out of any woman, and that doesn't make women, less than as humans, but it does make them less than when it comes to their body structure, their hormones, their composition, their strength, their bone density. I mean, it's just plain science.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. And, the number one thing that the boxing commissions and fighter commissions tell us is the one thing they care about is fighter safety. So how is this fighter safety letting biological men compete in women's sports? I mean, this is disgusting. Boxing is already a sport that when you sign up and you're a guy and you're fighting another guy, you know that there's implications of fatality. You sign a dotted line. Like in the UFC, we sign a little thing. There's a waiver that says, hey, this could end in fatality. So this is going against other men. Just imagine when you're putting a guy that's filled with testosterone in his body fighting another woman. I mean, I don't want to have to see this come to a point where, one of our daughters, one of our sisters, one of our mothers has to lose her life over reckless behavior, over irresponsible decisions from USA Boxing. So this needs to get reversed right away. And anybody standing up for this is just unethical and it's disgusting.
I think this is going to be a major issue in the 2024 election. Not only that, but just the notion of puberty blockers, the surgeries on minors, parental rights, the books that are being placed in some school district that are essentially gay porn. How important do you think it's going to be in 2024 that Republicans, conservatives address these kind of issues?
Yeah, these are the most important issues of the ticket right now that our people in America care about. We want America first. We want a fair and free America. I mean, you look at what this country looked like 4 years ago when Trump was in office. Gas was $1.50 a gallon. Our borders were completely secure. We don't have all these illegal aliens invading our border. And these aren't like men and women coming looking for amnesty. these are middle-aged men that are coming to destroy this country from the inside out. So there's a lot of big policies that are going to be up for grabs on this ticket. And any Republican that wants to win this nomination, the first thing we need to do is secure our border and make sure that there's no men in women's sports. And the indoctrination of all our children coming up through the schooling system needs to be a focal point as well.
I know you're a big fan of Donald Trump. I see him behind you in that photo, which is wonderful. I'm sure that there's a mutual respect between the two of you. In my opinion, certainly the greatest president of my lifetime. I think he did a fantastic job with our country, but they're coming after him. He's got 4 indictments. He's got countless legal incidents and cases piling up. Now he's being taken off the ballot in 1 state, maybe 2. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. But do you think that Donald Trump is going to get a fair fight in 2024?
I don't. It's already not fair. Look at how they're weaponizing the judicial system against them. They're weaponizing everything against them. They're using all forms of government to take him down. If they thought that they could beat him in a fair fight, they wouldn't be trying to indict him for charges that he didn't do. So, you got guys like Bill Clinton that are on Epstein Island. Nothing ever happens to guys like that. They don't even talk about those guys. If that was Trump, they'd be screaming from the rooftops. They'd be putting it on every single article in the world. So we know it's not going to be a fair fight, but he didn't ask for a fair fight. He's the strongest fighter and the strongest willed person I've ever met in my life. That guy has loyalty like none other, not just to this country, but to the people around him, to his family. I mean, he has good children. Could you imagine if someone like Eric Trump had a laptop like Hunter Biden? I mean, they would crucify him in the streets. No, Eric Trump is a good family man. He cares about his wife. He cares about his kids. And that's how the Trump family is. So, he cares about his family's business. He's not out there, taking bribes from foreign leaders. So, we know it's not going to be a fair fight, but we're prepared for that. And we're going to fight harder, and we're going to put America first again. And people are really starting to wake up to what's going on in this country. You can't trust government. The only one you should trust is God and your family.
I agree with you on that. You brought up Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, we had the somewhat redacted list come out yesterday with some names on it that we knew were going to be on it. Of course, they say Bill Clinton has been to the island, but they say that he's not accused of any legal wrongdoing. I don't know how much we believe that. But the fact that this list has been coddled for so long, the fact that so many on this list, and just the names we've been given, not even the entire list, and we'll never probably get the full story. What do you make of this? I mean, you're around a lot of high-profile people, a lot of elite people. What do you make of a list like this document dump, and what you think should happen to those that are implicated?
I think the people that are implicated should get the death penalty. Being a pedophile, messing with harmless children that can't defend themselves or protect themselves because they're too small and they can't do anything to save their lives against these people that are just going to destroy them. I mean, they're going to destroy them psychologically for the rest of their lives. They're never going to be able to have a natural life ever again. They're going to be just thinking of all this trauma from all these older men groping and molesting them and raping them. So, what I think should happen is what's really scary, Tommy, is it's like a mob boss. You cut off the mob boss's head, a new one grows. So maybe we know about Epstein Island now, but what other island are these holding these kids hostage? Because we know there's a lot of terrible people in the world, a lot of bad people that do bad things. So where's the next Epstein Island? Where's the next spot? And that's where we as people need to come together to look out for our children all around the world. We need to go out there and, fight back against these pedophiles, and we can't let this go on anymore.
Looking ahead to, your plans for this new year, I know you're obviously a very vocal supporter of Donald Trump. You've put your voice behind him many times, including recently, and you're very vocal about that. What do you plan to do? Because you have a huge fan base. What do you plan to do to wake people up that haven't already been awoken to see what they need to do in 2024? And how do you plan to maybe influence them or push them in the right direction with your platform?
Yeah, this is a big year. It's an election year. So, my fight and all my focus is going to go into getting Trump back in office. The things he did for this country, he put America first. What president left office and their net worth went down after leaving office? You don't see that from any president or any politician. All these politicians, these swamp creatures that are in these political positions, all of them enrich themselves. The Nancy Pelosi's, insider trading, all the Bidens, foreign, taking bribes from foreign leaders. What about the Trumps? They never took